So we know that picking your paver for your pool or landscape can be pretty overwhelming. So we wanted to kind of talk about some different materials choices today that could be used in a pool or a landscape setting. These are mostly going to be a paver that you're going to see in a lot of backyards. We're going to start with kind of the standard paver, which is the cobblestone. This comes in 3 different sizes. This is a 6x6 here. It comes in a 6x9 as well as a 3x6. So those are going to be your standard paver, your most cost-effective paver that you're going to see all over the place. They're used for driveways and different applications. You can also use those around the pool deck. The only difference is they're going to get a little warm. In Arizona, almost everything gets warm though. So if you're going to go out on a pool in Arizona, you're probably going to be wearing flip-flops or wet that deck before you go outside and walk around on it. Another option here is going to be your Holland paver, which is the standard 4-inch paver. You got basically, it looks like the old style brick. They look really good in a herringbone or basket weave. They also look really good if you kind of mix them together and do different borders and patterns for like a cobblestone paver. This is actually Belgard's new DuraFusion paver. It's going to be a lot smoother. Still going to have that grippiness to it, so it's not going to be slippery around a pool deck. It's kind of a newer product that looks really good, so it's a nice choice. It's not the cheapest option, but it does look really good. We also got Belgard's travertine paver, which is similar to a natural travertine paver. It's not going to be as slippery. It is a man-made product, so it does have some texture to it, but it mimics the look of like a natural stone travertine. It's going to be a lot cheaper than say like a travertine or marble stone. Then you also have your natural stone choices. So these are kind of some of the 2 most common colors. You got your silver and your walnut. Great, does really well around a pool, looks great. This is going to be a premium option. You'll have some different options in grade. Your economy grade is going to have a lot more holes, a lot more pitting, going to be a little bit cheaper in cost. This one's going to be a little more expensive just because it's more uniform. The only thing is that with travertine is it does look good, but it is slippery. So if you got kids or people are out, you know, running on the deck, it's going to be one of those options that you're going to kind of be mindful of that. Another thing we wanted to kind of talk about is what we use in the joints. So this is called a polymeric sand. We use it on all of our projects, whether it's a driveway, patio. Basically, it's your joining sand that goes in between the paver. And the reason we use the polymeric is because it hardens up similar to grout, but it stays flexible. So over time, it's going to hold that paver together. Plus, you're not going to get weeds and bugs and ants and that kind of stuff with it like you would with a normal, you know, concrete sand, which is the preferred sand to use inside your paver joints. A lot of people use silica or a masonry sand. Really is not made for pavers. It washes out. It's not angular enough. So what the sand does in the joints, and most people think it's to make it look good, realistically, the purpose of the joining sand is to keep the pavers from moving. So it's not really to stay in or look like grout or be a permanent, you know, center structure. It's actually more of to keep the pavers interlocked, to keep them from moving back and forth while you're driving on it or something like that. So over the last 20 years of being in business, we've installed thousands of square feet of pavers, natural stone, that kind of thing. The most common installed material is going to be that cobblestone paver. It's kind of the staple of the industry. What we've tried to get and push people away from, just because you see it everywhere, is to some of the newer products, you know, the travertine. The only thing is, like a travertine paver like this would be more for a deck or a patio. It's not going to be a load-bearing product, so you're not going to put that on a driveway unless you mud set it, which that's going to be cost prohibitive. Again, the new products like the DuraFusion, which we actually have over here installed in our display area. So what we did is when we built our outdoor display area that we're almost done with, is we wanted to show people, you look at a sample or you look at a picture and it looks great. So we wanted to give you a bigger area to look at so you can kind of see that color tone, because this looks a lot different than like the sample that you saw over there, just because you see the full spectrum of colors. When you're just looking at one piece, you know, you're only seeing one color opposed to the mix of colors. And then like up here, again, that's the new DuraFusion from Belgard. So it's a really nice looking paver. It's got a smooth texture to it, so it looks nice. It's got clean lines, a lot more modern. We got the new Pavers paver as well. We did do a lot of natural stone out here as well, so you can kind of see the mix. This is actually a marble. This is an aqua gray marble from A&S. I'm very actually excited about this just because it's a little bit of a kind of a mix between travertine. It's not as slippery actually when it gets wet, so I kind of noticed that it's not as slippery. The only other thing that you kind of got to worry about with natural stone is you're going to get some staining with natural stone, so you got to kind of be mindful of that. And a lot of these guys, what they're doing is they're installing like the travertine or a marble on top of a quarter-minus base, and they're using a red or a tan, and you'll get a lot of staining over time, because what that's doing is actually leaching that color up through the base, through the material. So just make sure too, whoever you're having install your pavers, is installing them to the ICPI specs, which is, you know, an ABC base with a sand bed and then either a polymeric sand or a concrete sand in the joints. So the other option for your deck is the porcelain paver. So this is actually a Belgard product. It's the Mirage Porcelain. It's a Noon, which is a wood grain plank paver. Looks really great. Probably going to be around on the higher end of your cost spectrum, probably one of the most expensive materials you're going to install, but the longevity of it'll last forever. So the only thing that will damage porcelain is either porcelain itself rubbing against itself or diamonds. You could literally take a screwdriver and scratch it on here and you're not going to damage the surface. It holds up really well around pools. It's not slippery and you don't have to seal it or anything like that, so it works out really well for a deck or, you know, backyard patio. Or we can even lay it in accents, do like a border or a little table area. So there's a ton of different options that we can do with that. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of clarity on what choices to use for your decking or your landscape paver project. Now there's a ton of different options. We just gave a few here and we'll kind of add more as we go, but we just kind of wanted to give you some of the main options that people are choosing and why they work best in the different situations. So if you need any help, give us a call.